Hi, I'm Kertesz, and this is How to Live It. Many of us dream with financial independence, time freedom, living our purpose, and creating positive impact. But very few of us are able to achieve all of them. What are the actual tactics and behind the scenes of creating a business in a life that allow for just that? I'm joined on this conversation by the incredible Jaime Jay. Jaime is a passionate entrepreneur who's committed to the famous ripple effect of giving, but he walks the talk. He loves supporting ideas, bravery, and collaboration with entrepreneurs who want to grow their businesses. I actually first heard of Jaime and his story from the author of the One-Person $1 Million Business, Elaine Pofeldt, who has been on our How to Live It show a few times. I was intrigued to learn more about his journey to successfully building a profitable business in a lean way. He's the founder and CEO of Bottleneck Virtual Assistants, which helps entrepreneurs and small business owners scale their businesses more affordably through remote virtual assistants. He has a fantastic business. His motto is, "Are your daily tasks getting in the way of you doing your best work?" And he's also the host of this great podcast called Live with Bottleneck, which shares these ideas. Hi, Jaime. Welcome to How to Live It.
Hi, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so super excited.
I am so thrilled. You know, you and I have been talking a little bit about recording this conversation, and now it's happening.
I know. So exciting. Congratulations for getting this thing going.
Thank you. You've been such a great supporter. Oh. And you have been able to achieve what many people dream of: having a profitable business, time freedom, living a purpose, and making a difference in the lives of so many entrepreneurs and small business owners that you support. So let's start from the beginning. What was the inspiration for you to start building Bottleneck Virtual Assistants?
I love this question. I come from a creative agency background, a creative web development agency. And one of the biggest challenges I had with that was we would do the work, hand it off to our clients, and then we wouldn't see them again until they needed an update on their site or they come back. And I wanted to figure out a way that I could help continue them to grow, because a lot of the feedback I got when they did come back was, "Hey, I loved our site. We've grown so much since then. Our offering has changed. We have these different products or services now. We need to update the site." Well, I was so stoked for them. I'm happy. I'm like, "Oh, right. Congratulations on growing your business. Let's jump into this. Let's do it." Then you do it again, you wouldn't see them again. And then I wanted to say, well, how can I help them? If they're growing, they're having problems hiring, they're having problems finding people that they can count on to do the work. It's not just the website. Their business is a lot more than that. And I thought, well, in a mastermind event, people said, "Jaime, how are you getting these amazing assistants? I want one. You should create a business." And I thought, there you go. That's how I can work with them all the time and help them actually scale their business on a continuing, ongoing basis.
I love it. It's such a genuine way to tackle a problem that all entrepreneurs and small business owners have. So how did you narrow down the exact way that you wanted to tackle this problem and validate the idea?
So it was challenging. I think I narrowed it down through my own experience. I am 100% operate a remote company. I practice what I preach here, and I was doing that in the beginning too. And from the very first hire I made way back in 2006, I learned how to develop a plan, how to develop, a communication style, how to work with somebody that's remote based. That's thousands and thousands of miles away, but we could still be productive. And I think those systems and processes kind of carried through and kind of helped define our niche and helped us define a way to help our clients learn how to hire effectively and how to hire remotely.
Got it. Which honestly, more than ever, is a very, very important skill to have, given how every business is being run nowadays. Everyone is working from home, right?
Yeah, I couldn't have expected this to happen, but there's always silver linings. I think in every single pandemic or challenge that you face, you have to look at the silver linings.
I agree with that. So one of the challenges I see many entrepreneurs facing is that we have this big vision and this great idea, but most people don't really know how to get started. So let's talk a little bit. What did you do once you got started in the first, week, month, and the first few months of launching your business?
Yeah, this is a good thing. A lot of people, I think, do business plans and they kind of write it out and plan. And maybe here's going to be the first 6 months, maybe the first 12, 18. Here's my 5-year, 10-year plan. Where do you want to be? We didn't take that route. I didn't really write a business plan. And I used to write business plans for the Small Business Administration for other people, but I chose not to write a business plan in this specific example because we did what we called as a brand profile. And a friend of mine kind of showed me how he wrote, and developed these brand profiles. And I just thought it was genius. And that's basically what we did, because we talked about our messaging, our core values, our vision, our mission, what is our philosophy, all of that stuff. And it kind of made more sense to me. Do we have to budget and all that stuff? Of course, we have to figure all that stuff out of there. But we called it a brand profile and concentrated more on the messaging based on the amount of feedback we were getting, plus all the experience that we had up until that point.
I mean, that's such a great message you have behind what you just said, because often, people spend time developing a business plan that is not linked to reality. And it seems that you were much more related to, okay, let me see what people's needs really are and how can I solve them and how can I position my business to be, the problem solver.
Yeah, I've never seen a business plan fail on paper.
No.
Right? But we've seen plenty of businesses fail. And I think a lot of that is because they blur the lines of reality and what people are really wanting. Because oftentimes we think, man, this is a really great idea, but you have to test that. You have to put it out there and see if is it, and then where do we need to improve upon it?
So what was your approach to actually branding the business and creating the name? I love the name Bottleneck Virtual Assistants and all the, sort of positioning of the business.
Well, one thing I am proud to say is I surround myself with a lot of amazing people, and I hope now that I can include you in that circle.
Yes.
And I like to surround myself with people that are way smarter than me. And it's because of that I cannot claim responsibility for the name of Bottleneck. That came from a really good, smart friend of mine, an Emmy Award-winning audio producer, Mark Hafner, and I'll forever be grateful to him for that. But it was through a discussion that this came up, and I said, that's it. That is it. That's what we're doing, because we're trying to help stop the bottleneck in these people's businesses. And so that's how we got it. And then we took it and we ran with it. And so there's a lot of other things we can play off of that term, bottleneck. Help stop the bottleneck in your business. What is your bottleneck? All kinds of things like that, because it's something that everybody experiences. At least my opinion is that everybody experiences bottlenecks in their life at some point or another.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Listen, I was creating content on how to overcome the hump of deciding on a business name. And I guess the solution is getting a friend like Mark. And, and you got your problem solved, right?
I think a lot of it has to do with conversation. Yeah. And like, if I talk to you, I try to pay attention to the words that you say, just like anybody else that I look up to. I really want to hear what it is that you say or how you interpret things. And then most likely other people will interpret them the same way that you may.
Yeah. So listen, I mean, once you came up with the idea and the positioning and the branding, I guess you had to decide what was your target customer, because so many people, I guess all of us suffer, I guess from the lack of focus and the need to have support on the day-to-day of our businesses. How did you go about establishing your target customer?
I love this question, and we could probably have just a conversation all on establishing your target customer.
True.
But in the beginning, I painted with a broad brushstroke, and that was probably one of the biggest, I don't necessarily want to call it a regret, but one of the biggest challenges I had to overcome. Because yes, this can be a good service for this person and this CEO and this team leader. It could be all over the place. However, you have to start small. One of my good friends, by the age of 15, did his first $1 million. And at I would say the ripe old age of 15, because he had done some testing for that. He was doing some marketing for the NBA basketball, and it just wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't going anywhere. So, and he was out playing basketball with his friends one day, and he said, "Hey, what would you really like to learn how to do better?" And he goes, "I'd love to learn how to dribble." So he started and created a video on how to be a better basketball dribbler, and it took off. And then as he developed that niche there, he went on to another niche and then on to another niche and finally worked his way back up to the MBA level. And that's exactly what we had to do here. We've pulled back and we've focused on one spot. Now we have 5 avatars that we can market to. Each one is a little bit differently, but it's also demonstrated right on our website. And we can also talk to he, she, him, her, because it's Debbie, it's John, it's Mark, what nationality are they? We really drilled down and we got all the answers from client surveys. That's what we put out for our avatar. So it took a while for us to kind of backtrack, but that would be my advice to everybody.
Interesting.
Yeah, when you have 2 or 3 targets, go back to 1.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the biggest mistakes that most business owners make. We tend to love our ideas so much that we tend to think that everyone should actually buy our products and services, right? And we're trying to sort of boil the ocean, and at the end of the day, as you said, you have to start ultra focused on a very tiny niche and then expand it from there. I love that concept.
I will say one thing too on that one. When you're first starting out, it's nice to take in other ideas or concepts, maybe other niches that you didn't necessarily think of. It may not work out, but that's part of being an entrepreneur. But maybe something does work out you totally didn't anticipate, and maybe that's a niche that you go after. So in the beginning, especially when you need that money to come in the beginning, it's okay to kind of venture a little wide there to figure out what is your niche market.
Yeah. So what are some lessons and strategy you have taken on the marketing, digital marketing of the business?
Building specific avatars and talking to those specific people. We did client surveys and asked a series of questions, and we paid real close attention to what they said and the answers and the challenges they had in their lives and their business. Those are the challenges and problems that we put right onto our web copy. That's what we market with on social media now. We use actual quotes from people that we've interviewed or received surveys from our clients, or even from people that may be searching that we did not win the business from. If they were kind enough to give us feedback on why they decided not to go with us, these are all great things for us to use in real life. And one of the things I sent out a newsletter, and the subject of that was, I'm so embarrassed. And the reason why I was so embarrassed is because that survey that we got back from some of our clients enlightened us. We didn't do some good things. Guess what? That's what I posted in that newsletter. But then I said, this is what we're doing to fix it. This is what we're doing to fix it. So vulnerability is key.
Yeah, I agree with you. I always think you'll build trust when you show, the honesty behind the business, the people, the mistakes, the challenges. I mean, every business has someone behind it, right? So you have to be honest about it.
Exactly.
So you started the business, you started to grow, you got some customers. What do you think made a real difference in scaling up the business?
Oh my gosh. One of my other mottos is do something as if it's the last time you're ever going to do it. And I learned that from the wonderful Scott Beebe. And basically what that means is document everything you're doing as if it's the last time you're ever going to do it. Why? You got to prioritize or systemize your business with processes and workflows. That way, when you do scale, you don't have to sit there and somebody doesn't have to figure out what's in your head. It's written down. And the more detailed you can get on these processes or workflows, in my case, I tell everybody that does a workflow in our organization, every time you click the mouse button, that's a step. Take a snapshot of the screen, write it down. So if I'm going to ask you to go to this piece of software and do some work in it, the very first thing is go to this domain.com. In the upper right-hand corner, click on login, screenshot. And the next thing, enter in your username and password, screenshot. And the reason why we do that is because as we scale, someone else can come on and they know exactly what's expected of them. Now, they may be able to improve the process, and that's what we want, but at least they have a starting point so we don't have to take the time to specifically go in and recreate the reel every time that position opens up or expands. So it's a really neat way to do something as if it's the last time you're ever going to do it.
I love the examples you gave. I mean, process is everything, right? But it takes time to create processes, and it's an investment. But once you have that, it can help you take your business to the next level.
Well, one thing is, for me, I used to spend about an hour a day on emails.
Yeah.
And one day I sat down and I did a screen record, and it took me almost 2.5 hours to do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, now I spend about 15 minutes a day on email.
Wow.
Just imagine that. 45 minutes a day saved, time saved.
So
Imagine
your virtual assistant will do the rest of the work on your emails.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. Why don't you tell us a little bit, actually, what are some of the key tasks that the virtual assistants, can cover for most of your clients?
We specialize in personal assistance. So for executives, CEOs, people that are extremely busy, but they need to focus on what I like to call that high level activity. And so we came up with a tool called the Delegation Roadmap. Again, assistance from Scott Beebe. Thank you very much. And basically what this is you list out every single task in a given day, and you assign 2 values to that. Number 1, does this give you energy or drain you of energy? Number 2, is this something that you must do, capital M-U-S-T, or is this something you can delegate to someone else who can do it? And here's the key, 80% or better than you. And the reason why I want to really point that 80% out is because when you hire somebody, things get more challenging, not easier right off the bat. So you have to expect that there's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah.
What you do is you segment that task list now into categorizing it with everything that does not give you energy, completely drains you, and that you can delegate. Now you have all the tasks that you can basically delegate to somebody. Calendar management, email management, answering the phones, sales calls, basic accounting. There's a plethora of different things that you'll come across when you write that delegation roadmap out that you're like, wow, I do a lot of stuff I really do not need to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's life-changing. I honestly think it's life-changing. And I do think that, honestly, more than ever, it's been so hard for people to focus on everything, right? Given everything that's happening and the overwhelming amount of information we have, and emails and social media and everything. So the more we can delegate tasks to other people, the more, I guess, we can focus on building the actual business, and which, I guess, more than ever makes a difference.
If it wasn't so, I wouldn't be able to be here with you talking.
Yeah.
You and I both have had an extremely difficult 2020. And for those of us that know us personally, know what we're talking about over and beyond COVID. But had I not been able to leave for the first couple of months this year and travel to California, I don't know what I would have done with my business. But I was lucky enough to be able to make a phone call to my assistant saying, Jamie, don't worry about it. I have your back. And I came back 2 months later to a stronger business. That, to me, is the epitome of what a personal assistant can do with a good executed system and process. I
mean, it's amazing. So Jamie, how did you fund your business from the beginning through, the different phases of growing it?
We're bootstrapped. We were bootstrapped. My first year, I think we made $11,000. I mean, it was tough. And I think at one point this year, we did get the PPP loan and the EIDL, the Employer Injury Disaster Loan here in the U.S. Pretty much it was bootstrapped. We just got clients, took that money, reinvested back into the company, and we kept reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting. And, we were kind of mellow with our spending there, but yeah, we just bootstrapped it pretty much the whole way.
That's amazing. So how did you build your team? Just quickly want to know, which position did you fill first, and what was your approach to building your team?
Yeah, I kind of went backwards on that. The first position I filled was a web developer because I was doing a lot of the web development myself. And so I found I would do a lot of work. And oh my gosh, we need clients. And it was a roller coaster. So I got the web developer. And then when that opened up, I was like, wow, this is great. I have all this time to focus on growing the business. We got really busy. I got social media person, finally got a really good personal assistant who's exactly opposite of me because I've taken 2 personality assessments and I took 2 because I didn't believe the results of the first one. And it says, I'm terrible at follow-up and terrible at detail. And I thought, no, I'm not. Oh, wait, I kind of am. My assistant is exactly opposite. Unbelievable at follow-up.
As people say, hire your weaknesses, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that's kind of how we did it, and we grew from there. We got some editors, and so now we have a pretty decent sized staff that we can focus on all aspects of the business. That frees up my time. And then my wife, I work with my wife. She does a lot of our payroll and our bookkeeping, and keeps that side of the business going really strong. And we've just had really good relationships with a virtual CFO that keeps us on track financially. We have a great accountant, and it's just really worked out. But as we've grown, we've kind of started filling positions to keep we call it life balance, not work-life balance, because we have one life. And
life balance. And I think you are a great example of the new trend, not a new trend, but the trend that Elaine Pofeldt talks a lot about, that I personally think it's the trend that is, going to keep growing, which is small businesses that are profitable, that are run in a lean way, that add a lot of value like you do, but don't need to consume huge amounts of capital to grow, which is the typical sort of unicorn, venture capital backed model. And I think you walk the talk in that model, which is great.
Yeah, no office. We were 100% remote, and I've been sourcing remote-based distributed workforce since 2006. So it's worked back then when technology is not even half of what it is today. Yeah. And today, with the circumstances of what's going on in the world, it works even better. And we're finding that productivity levels are just going through the roof right now with remote-based distributed workforce. I mean, look at Matt Mullenweg. He's one of the co-founders of WordPress. He runs the company Automatic. He has nearly 1,200 employees, all of which are remote. Wow. Yeah, they're doing pretty good over there.
That's amazing. So, Jaime, can you leave everyone who's watching this with some good pieces of advice? I am always an optimistic, and I do think that times of uncertainty are always good times to start a business. But I know that many people are reluctant and feel, the fear of failure and the fear of, going in the wild and starting a new business. So what pieces of advice do you want to leave people with?
Like I have several that come to mind, but you just spoke of one that was, fear of the wild, the unknown. I have a pretty good inkling as far as what our company is doing. However, I always put myself in a place of, scared, uncomfortable. And the reason I do that is because if I'm not exploring new opportunities, new ways of doing something, testing something out, I feel like that I'm not growing. And our world moves so fast with technology that if you're not stepping out, making sure that you're doing everything that you can, studying a new trends or looking at new software, or constantly challenging yourself to improve and get better, you'll be lost within the span of 3 to 6 months. That's how fast our world lives. So I would encourage you to embrace that feeling of imposter syndrome, or feeling scared, or anytime that little evil monster creeps in there saying that you can't do it, embrace that and say, let's do this. And if you go down swinging, but you try and you know that doesn't work, so let's try something else. That would be.
Thank you. I love it. Okay. Thank you. So we were here with Jaime Jay. He is an awesome guy and the founder of Bottleneck Virtual Assistants. And we were talking about his journey and lots of lessons. I hope you enjoy it. Now get out there and live it. Thank you.